This One's Wife. Will this one's wife highlight Tegan Teigen's abuse? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Now, some of you might not be familiar with my detailed series about Chrissy Teigen and wonder, why do I say her name 3 times? Well, initially I started off saying it twice because she didn't know how to pronounce her own surname. So she would say Teigen or Teigen. Then she said there was a third way, Teigen. So consequently I now call her Tegan Teigen. Mocking her, naturally, because somebody who looks like a satellite dish and is an odious human being merits being mocked. So I'm going to continue doing it. As I've explained in the earlier video, this one's wife is finding the collateral consequence of her actions once again. The selection of Chrissy Teigen in her With Love Meghan series has resulted in backlash as a consequence of the fact that Tegan Teigen not only is a narcissist but is a thoroughly unpleasant human being. Furthermore, there is the rank hypocrisy of this one's wife, who has claimed that she is a protector of children in an online environment, and then she invites onto her show somebody who has abused children in an online environment. The contrast cannot be starker. I explained in the earlier video how might this one's wife respond to this backlash in terms of knowing about it now. But what about the possibility that she received advice in relation to the programme concerning the involvement of Chrissy Teigen? That some sage advisor explained to her, okay, options have been relatively limited for our guests. We've had to get Crying Makeup Man involved again. Heather Durack has appeared once more. I know that Chrissy Teigen said she'll do it. I know that she's a cook just like you. I know that you see that there is synergy between the two of you. But are you aware that that's a controversial choice as a consequence of her online activities? Somebody could have said that to her. And therefore the suggestion would be that in order for this one's wife to look good and to maintain some consistency with regard to her self-appointed role of protector of children online, that she highlights the fact that Chrissy Teigen engaged in such behaviour and provides her with an opportunity to try and wipe the slate clean, to apologise once more. Perhaps an opportunity for the patronising this one's wife to wag her finger at Chrissy Teigen and then offer her a comforting hug by way of the saint that is this one's wife, saying, I forgive you for your past transgressions. All is now well because you've helped me in my kitchen. Is there the possibility that this one's wife will highlight the abuse for the purposes of wiping the slate clean, protecting, as far as she can, her own facade, and demonstrating, I don't condone this woman's actions by having her on my television programme. Indeed, I've brought them up and I've made her account for herself. See, audience, see how I remain the protector of children. Observe how I cast moral judgment upon this woman. I hold her to account. I've taken her to task amongst the fruit as it was rearranged and the flower sprinkles. I said, Chrissy Teigen, no flower sprinkles for you until you have made good on your naughty behaviour in the past. The fact is, I very much doubt that this will happen. Why? Combination of 2 factors. This one's wife doesn't care and isn't thinking ahead in terms of the potential backlash, even if she's been so advised. Secondly, there are other things that she wants to talk about, and therefore the topic of the behaviour of Chrissy Teigen years ago is put to one side. There isn't room for it, in effect. This one's wife could well have been told, that's a dodgy guest. You could face backlash. It could result in there being criticism. You all know that this one's wife doesn't take advice. She knows better. She wants Tegan Teigen on her show because she's relatively well known and options were limited. Furthermore, it's her choice. She gets what she wants. This one's wife gets what this one's wife wants. Accordingly, she won't listen to the advice. She will think those people are wrong. She'll dismiss it. Oh, that's all in the past. It doesn't matter. People have moved on from it, of course. It's been demonstrated by the backlash across mainstream and social media that people do recall what Tegan Teigen did and have expressed their horror, outrage and distaste for this one's wife involving her in the show. Once again, this one's wife lacks the ability to gauge sentiment and read the room because of her absence of emotional empathy and the fact that she's not very bright. Secondly, there are other things that she'll want to talk about. And, as I mentioned, I'm not proposing to watch the entire series, but I might watch the episode that Tegan Teigen is, because I can kill two birds with one stone in relation to the analysis of two narcissists. It just depends whether I'm clipping my toenails or combing my hair or such like, something far more interesting than dealing with those two. So we shall see what happens. But I should imagine, let's see if this turns out to be true, that this one's wife, of course, will want to compare the fact of them both being cooks. Because although Chrissy Teigen has achieved some success in that regard, this one's wife hasn't. But she'll want to commandeer that success for herself by way of character trait acquisition. I also think that one of the big topics that will possibly crop up is the issue of their miscarriages. As you know from parts passing, if you followed my work on Chrissy Teigen, she decided that it was appropriate to tell all of the world that she'd suffered a miscarriage, also with pictures of her grief on Instagram. She then changed her mind and declared that actually it was an abortion, and she still doesn't seem sure which it was, whether it was a miscarriage or an abortion, and therefore it falls into the status of miscarriage. In relation to this one's wife, it's well known that she stole the words from somebody else to describe the circumstances of her own apparent miscarriage, which caused people to think the unnatural description of it all, along with the almost poetic way she characterised it, points also to the fact that it's unlikely to have occurred, and therefore there's a miscarriage. It would be typical of this mid-range type A narcissist to attempt to bond with Chrissy Teigen over their supposed grief surrounding the miscarriages. I've made this point. Let's see if that happens. In essence, this one's wife won't want to address what's gone on in the past because she doesn't see that there's any need for it, and she'll see there's much more interesting things to talk about, namely herself and supposed similarities with Chrissy Teigen, which means she isn't going to highlight the previous abuse. Naturally, because it's already been filmed, even if she's now taking notice of the backlash, there's nothing she can do about it other than perhaps pull the episode, which she's unlikely to want to do because she won't want to give in to crowd pressure in that respect. It's not like she could reshoot it in some way with reference to the abuse and addressing it head on. She can't go back and do that. It's already in the can. I don't think she'll address it. I think there'll be wittering on about other matters between themselves, all about the individual looking in thrall to this one's wife as she talks about being a cook, just like Chrissy Teigen, perhaps wanted to talk about her own cookware range that she's going to bring out just like Chrissy Teigen, and to talk about their miscarriages. Do you agree with me, valuable viewers? Do you think that the abusive behaviour of Tegan Teigen will be completely ignored and brushed under the carpet? And do you think they'll focus on the other matters that I've spoken about? Or do you think something else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.